myself, I am a soil scientist at the soil quality research group at the University of Santiago de Compostela in Spain. I'm trying to, okay, that's perfect. Perfect, nice, perfect. Okay. I'm a chemist and a soil scientist, as I just said, and well, good evening. Thank you again. As George said, I've been twice there in New York, yeah, at the festival, and it was a pretty good experience. And I hope we can repeat that in the future with more music and more fungi. And George just should remember. Just I'm going to present some. My presentation is just. Pretends or tries to show you some photos of soils from that you may not be familiar with from here, from my city. And I'm sorry, my presentation is not going to be very dynamic because it's midnight here, and it's I might be a little tired. Well, as we all know. The activities associated to urbanization, they have significant impacts on the morphology and properties of soils, of urban soils. And as a result of these processes, we have soils in the cities that can be very different from the equivalent soils in non-urban regions or from the original soils in the area where a city locates. These soils are often mixed with other natural and or anthropic materials. They present high contents in gravel and stones, in coarse materials, variable degrees of compaction and sealing. They are enriched in pollutants from different sources. And but what is more important is, or is very typical or very specific of urban soils is that because of the human-driven or driven logic behind their formation and distribution, many types of different soils can coexist in urban land in a city, and this heterogeneity is difficult to predict, and it will determine the potential use of the best potential use of the soils, just as soils are under other uses, not under other land uses. And that's the reason why we study the morphology and the properties of soil science, to have this knowledge that we need to plan or to rationally plan land use. If we take this nice schema or this nice illustration by Jean-Louis Morel, we can broadly say that in a sequence of increasing artificialization or impact, soil quality and functionality decrease in the same direction as artificialization. And we need this information. We need this information to try and plan rationally land use in the city. If I may show also this illustration from a French divulgation comic. Here is like we can say our objective when studying urban soils is that to obtain the best land use during planning in this ideal situation. Soil information is at the center, is an important tool for the decision process, where all actors work together to obtain the best urban planning. Here we have scientists, representatives, urban dwellers, etc. Everyone work together using information on soils. But as you will surely know, we have much less information on urban soils than on other types of soils. For example, in my city, which is located, Santiago is located in the northwestern corner of Spain. Here I have an illustration of the soil map of the city, where we can see that the urban area is not cartographed. So, like only recently we started studying urban soils in Spain, and this is what I'm going to show you now. Some some examples, some soil profiles with their main properties, and try to think which will be the main potential use. First, well, we have for a global view of which types of soils we have an interest in the diversity with soils, with both soils developed on natural materials or pseudo-natural soils. All these that some people may not call them urban because they are soils similar to natural ones. And then we have what we might call artificial or anthropic soils developed on anthropic materials, which we call here human altered and transported material. I have this schema of the types of the illustration of types of heterogeneity of profiles that we can find. And now I have nice photos. Just at this very moment when I was looking at the presentation 5 minutes ago, I just realized that some of you might not be familiar with names, with soil names in the World Reference Based System, because you are at the States and you use the soil taxonomy. But I will try to explain the meaning in that case. So we have regarding the soils on natural materials, or what we call naturally deposited materials, soils that have not been very affected by, extremely affected by urbanization. We will have leptosols and umbrisols. This is shallow soils and soils and acid soils rich in organic matter. And then different types of umbrisols, always acid organic matter rich soils, under forest vegetation, and under not under soils that were agricultural soils before the establishment of the city. These deeper soils. In some cases they are sealed, but these deeper soils they have been they were terraced agricultural soils that have been included in the city during urban sprawl. In the first case, for example, here the best use for these shallow soils, the very acid, will be urban parks with lawn or forest vegetations, while in the second case, like these ones, these deep soils will be an obvious choice for the establishment of urban agriculture areas. And regarding the more artificial soils, the soils developed on human altered and transported materials, we have first different types of non-sealed soils that we can classify as regosols or technosols. Technosols, it's self-explaining, soils that are developed on anthropic materials, like these soils in green areas, in urbanized green areas, for example, in the university campus, like here. And then we have sealed soils that in our classification systems, they are called Eclanic technosols. Soils sealed by a concrete layer. Obviously, the soils have very limited potential uses, the sealed soils, while the first type of soils, this one that were not sealed, they have a poor physical condition, low fertility because of high, even if they are not sealed, they are very compacted and present high amounts of gravel and stones. So they are not very good, and they usually just have some poor lawn areas. And in line with this construction of soils on human transported material, this kind of soils non-sealed, I would like to end my presentation showing you an interesting consideration about a case of poor management of soil resources in my city, which is very common. I saw that I found that at different places in the city, where is this technique that people use for establishment of green areas during civil works. We can see here at the different stages of soil construction that consists in excavating after the works. They excavate a pit that is filled with gravel or stones or fill, and then they put on top a layer of imported topsoils. You can see that in the first picture, and then the other pictures show that sometimes there is even a continuous concrete layer here and here, separating the fill from the lawn area, the green area that is going to be established in imported topsoil. It's not very. I think it's not very intelligent in my opinion because I have a better picture here of one case. This is a nice example where a former lawn area, you can see here, the satellite has been recently excavated, and the profile has been exposed. And we can see here exactly the technique where we can see the continuous concrete layer. You have the original soil, here several layers of fill, and then a continuous concrete layer topped by 10 centimeters of imported soil, and then the lawn. I can wonder if this has any natural or edaphic logic. It's very surprising, at least for me. And well, this is just an example of poor management, as I just say, and that's one of the reasons why we need to know more about soils, and we need to know more, and we need to be able to transmit the importance of urban soils and soils in general to planners and representatives, in order to take into account the knowledge that we have gathered before. So, well, that was all I wanted to say. Thank you very much for listening. As I say.